So again, good morning, everyone. My name is James Borkman at the Public Building Commission of Chicago. We're here today to discuss the request for proposals for insurance brokerage services for the Public Building Commission's insurance needs. While we wait, just a few minutes here as we're waiting on a couple of people to join, make sure your computers are muted or your phones are muted. If you need to unmute on your phone, you can press *6. Make sure your name is your first name and last name, as well as your company name, so we know who is here. Please add your name and your company name to the chat for attendance purposes. And as I said earlier, we'll take questions and answers at the end. If you have one that pops up, please type it in the chat so we can get to them in the order in which they were received. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So again, good morning, everyone. We're here for the RFP for insurance brokerage services for the Public Building Commission of Chicago. Today is July 28th, 2025, the time of 11 o'clock having come and gone. We'll get started. Our agenda for today includes a welcome and introductions, the overview of the insurance brokerage services. We'll go over some of the procurement details. We'll look at the evaluation and submission criteria and more detail, and then we'll talk about the compliance portion. We'll turn it over to the compliance team for them to review, and then we'll talk about the Q&As, if any, once we finish up. So let's get started with welcome and introductions. My name is James Borkman. I'm the Director of Procurement for the Public Building Commission of Chicago. I also have some other procurement team members on. Patty, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Good morning. Welcome. My name is Patricia Montenegro, Deputy Director here at the PBC.
Miguel.
Good morning, Miguel Fernandez. Work out of procurement department, and I'm the contract officer for the procurement.
Janice.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Janice Johnson, and I am the Deputy Director of Operations and Administration. Thank you.
And helps oversee a large portion of our insurance brokerage services. So thank you, Janice, for joining. Mary Pat?
Morning, thank you. Mary Pat Witchery, Board Governance with the PBC.
Good morning. And Deb?
Good morning, Deborah Flanagan, Senior Staff Accountant.
Good morning. And Jesse?
Good morning, Jesse Rodriguez, Deputy Compliance Officer.
And I think from the PBC, we have everybody. So potential respondents, we have several potential respondents on the line. I'll just go in the order in which they appear on my screen. Daniel Mackey, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, it's Daniel Mackey with Alliant Insurance.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Joseph Orlando.
Hi, Joe Orlando from Financial Renaissance.
Good morning, Joe. Valerie Lewis.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Valerie Lewis from Alliant Insurance.
Good morning. Okay. I think I've got everybody. If I missed anyone, feel free to speak up. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what the PBC's insurance brokerage services mean. So I'm happy to provide an overview of the comprehensive insurance consulting services required to support the PBC's operations and protect our public assets. So at its core, the RFP was designed to market and provide information about implementation for the insurance coverage tailored to our risk profile as outlined in the specifications. The goal is pretty simple. We want to obtain the broadest possible coverage at the most reasonable price. Working in close coordination with myself and a small team, the selected consultant or consultants will develop a detailed service plan, which is going to define the deliverables, hit milestones, and provide accountability measures for the team. An essential component of the work includes identifying financially stable insurance markets, preparing complete specification packages, presenting the commission's risk exposure to underwriters effectively. So the consultant is expected to handle all market communications, respond to the inquiries, if any, collect and analyze the quotes, and ensure they align with the PBC specifications and pricing expectations as outlined in this RFP. The consultant is also going to have to provide comprehensive insurance proposals, a minimum of 21 days, business days, prior to the policy expiration. That includes cost analysis, policy comparisons, formal recommendations, anything supported by the complete policy forms and endorsements and explanations of each of those components. Well ahead of the renewals, which is why we're doing this in July, with a target date of about 120 days is usually our goal, the consultant or consultants will deliver a renewal action plan. And that's going to include a current state policy inventory, full evaluation of the insurance program, any recommendations for areas of improvement, and strategies to reduce costs and enhance our coverage. Once approved, the consultant would place the coverage and deliver verified binders 5 days before the expiration. And within 60 days of inception, they're going to have to submit the original policies as endorsements, ensuring any sort of accuracy or flagging any sort of discrepancies that they note. Finally, claims management is another critical service area, and it's our goal that the consultant will receive, monitor, and assist in the resolution of any and all claims, while also establishing any sort of user-friendly reporting procedures and providing necessary forms and contacts. Additional responsibilities of this RFP, you would need to place supplemental coverage if we ever needed it. You're also going to have to perform safety and loss control inspections if we require them. Again, it may not be required. Issue certificates of insurance for any sort of undertakings that we may engage in, whether that be a rental facility for a 300, 400, 500 person connection session at Malcolm X College, or on-site requirements for the Chicago Park District or Chicago Public Schools or any one of our other partners to meet their insurance requirements for us to undertake work as required by our portfolio. You'd also need to provide information, anything from validating premium invoices and promptly notifying the commission of any staffing changes or any changes in the overall characterization, economic or otherwise, of your firm. Lastly, it's a 24/7 relationship with the PBC. We are a public entity. We do public buildings, public infrastructure project, which means there is no downtime. So we expect the consultant to always remain available and responsive to our questions, to provide guidance where we need it, and to be a partner delivering written reports and information as we request. So I know that I've said a lot. All of this is clearly established in the RFP's scope of services. I wanted to do a much more broad-based outline than just the paragraph on the screen, which essentially says you're going to have to design, market, in place, and administer broad insurance coverage. So that more specific information, I think, should help many of you on the call. So at the PBC, we've broken out our coverage requirements by categories. And I briefly want to highlight what each of these categories represent. So our category 1 coverage is our liability, property, workers' comp, and other coverage and consulting services as needed. For liability, Janice, property and workers' comp, Janice Johnson, who you heard from earlier, is primarily responsible for our category 1 coverages. That includes primary, excess, and umbrella. We own the Richard J. Daley Center. So while we do have a property manager, we still carry liability, property, and as of course required, workers' compensation insurance that's compliant with our portfolio. For category 2, we have crime, bonds, directors and officers liability insurance, as well as the coverage and consulting services attendant to those requirements. We are a commission, meaning we have a board. Our board requires directors and officers liability insurance to ensure that the coverage where gaps may exist, different from the legislative requirements and the tort immunity requirements that are established in Illinois law, remain covered. The crime and the bonds are very straightforward. The PBC currently, I do not believe, has any bonds outstanding, but we do have the ability to bond as a public building commission. So if we were to ever undertake that, we would require the bond coverage. Our criminal liability coverage, straightforward. Last but not least is our category 3, where we've lumped medical, dental, vision, life, traditional employee benefits. Very straightforward, easy to understand. We also, again, put the catch-all there, which is any other coverage, but most importantly, consulting services that we might need. So if we have questions, we expect you or the consultant or selected consultants to act as a consultant for us. Live up to that name. We want someone that's a partner that can provide valuable recommendations. We have taxpayer money at risk. We want to make sure that that money is used wisely. I'll now talk more specifically about the procurement details surrounding what each of those categories, what we're going to look at whenever we award each of those categories to a consultant or consultants. So we've got a pretty straightforward procurement timeline for this RFP. It's a professional service contract. As such, we're putting it out on the street with sufficient time for interested parties to really get their teeth around what we're looking for. We issued the RFP back on July 8th. It's been on the street for about 3 weeks. This is the pre-submission conference we're having right now. The questions deadline is going to be August 1st, so that's coming up. Submission deadline is in another 2.5 weeks, August 13th by 10 a.m. That'll be an electronic submission. I'll go over the specific submission requirements here in a little bit. And then it's our goal to appoint the successful respondent to our September board meeting. And that means we would take that recommendation to that board meeting. We would then enter into a contract so that you could begin your services on October 1st, helping to place next year's coverages, getting the quotes, doing all the information. If you're new to the PBC or new to government, we would walk you through what we require, how we operate, etc. All documents are available on the Public Building Commission of Chicago's website. We have a current opportunities page, and everything will be available on that current opportunities page, including this video, the video that's being recorded right now, as well as the PowerPoint that you're reviewing. Any RFIs or addenda that have come through, any of the RFIs that are answered in an addenda, which all RFIs, if we choose to respond to them, would be, will also be available on this website. So you can clearly see here, we've taken a snip. We also made this hyperlink available down here at the bottom right. So if you clicked here, you'd be able to review the RFP. It's good to see a number of people on. It means that you already have reviewed the RFP. So I'm excited to see so many people visiting. As I said earlier, the due date is Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. That's subject to change via addenda, but it's 10 a.m. So if you're going to submit a response, I highly, highly encourage you to submit the response no later than 9:30. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, email takes time. We're a government agency. We have a number of security layers that all the emails have to go to. Chances are you'll be attaching a large amount of documents because we require a large amount of documents for this RFP, and it may get kicked back. We want to make sure that you have time to submit. If your submission is too large, for example, we're happy to accept, just as we say in the RFP, email submissions via Dropbox, via WeTransfer, or another secure transfer site. But leave yourself enough time so that if anything were to go wrong, you would be able to rectify that. Because come 10 a.m., as a government agency, we draw the line. There are no exceptions. There's no oh, okay, we'll overlook this time. That doesn't happen here at the PBC. It's just like the city or the county or any other government agency you may be familiar with. At 10 o'clock a.m. and 00 seconds, it's over. So please ensure you allow yourself enough time for the submission. As I stated earlier, any requests for information, we're happy to review. If we choose to answer, we'll issue an addenda. The sole point of contact for this is the contract officer, Miguel Fernandez. You can see his contact information here. It's also throughout the RFP on our website. as well as in all the documentation that's being provided to potential respondents. That's Miguel.Fernandez at cityofchicago.org. The current deadline for questions is this Friday, August 1st, 2025 at noon. That's, again, subject to change. Any items received after that deadline may be responded to, but we are not required to respond to any items received, should we deem them unworthy of response. Let's talk a little bit about the submission and evaluation criteria. We try to be very clear with what we're looking for to evaluate the submissions we receive. We receive a large number of submissions at the Public Building Commission. Everyone wants to work with us. We love that. What we try to do is to anticipate what questions are going to come up, and we improve our processes as a result of previous submission requests. To that end, the submission checklist was developed. This checklist assists you by allowing you to review your submission, ensuring that all component parts required for a full, fair evaluation have been received by the PBC. Use this checklist. We have developed it. We think it's very helpful. It helps clarify questions you may have. It helps ensure that the information we receive and that you submit is orderly, and most importantly, allows for a thorough evaluation of your firm to provide these services. It's broken out by tab. You'll see tab 1 is the introductory information. Tab 2 is what about your firm should we know? Your personnel experience, your approach to various insurance markets. Tell us about references. We're going to call them. We're going to make sure that they actually are good references. So if you're going to submit them, make sure that you know what your references are going to say. You'd be amazed at the amount of times I call or Patty calls the references because we do it ourselves. We don't delegate this work. I need to know that the references being submitted are quality references. So it's the director of procurement and the deputy that do this. And you'd be amazed at the number of references we get that say you should not hire these people. Probably not a good idea to submit those if you want to be considered for these services. So do your homework. Make sure that the references you're submitting are going to provide accurate information about your firm. If you're not supposed to be hired, that would be accurate. We need to know that. But hopefully you've done a good enough job with your previous clients and customers to not have those types of references. Tab 3 is your MBE and WBE participation. We'll turn it over to our compliance department to talk more in detail about that momentarily. But we are very proud of our minority and women participation at the PBC. It's very, very significant for our professional service contracts. It's over 40% as an aggregate. So we really encourage you to think about minority and women participation and the goals that we've set for each of these professional service agreements. Tab 4 is your pricing. It's pretty self-explanatory. I created a pricing sheet. You'll fill that pricing sheet out. Tab 5 is your financial statements. As a government agency, we have to do our due diligence, make sure that those the consultant or those consultants that we award are financially responsible and understand the requirements and capable of financially performing as required under the agreement. And then tab 6 is the other required documentation. As a government agency, we have lots of paperwork for you to do. Tell us about any legal actions. Give us a full disclosure affidavit. We need to know your ownership structure and who we're doing business with. Talk about any retained parties that you hired regarding this RFP. Chances are there aren't any, but there's a box there that says none. But if there are, we need to know who they are. And then we have insurance requirements for our insurers. So make sure you review those and submit information necessary to establish that you can meet the insurance requirements required for this professional service agreement. Let's talk a little bit about our evaluation criteria. We don't hide the ball here at the PBC. Right there in front of you. This is what you're going to be evaluated on. We have a committee that will be seated. They will review this information in great detail. Your firm's experience and past performance are going to count for 15% of your overall score. The qualifications of your firm will count for 10% of your overall score. Most importantly, your approach, the insurance markets you have access to, and your quality assurance plan. We need the best price, the best coverage. We want to know what you're capable of. That's 30% of your score. Your key personnel, the resumes, and your applicable licensure is going to be 10% of your score. The MBE and WBE participation you suggest will be 20% of your score, and pricing will add up to 15% of your score. I want to go through each of these in more depth so you understand where these numbers are coming from. For your firm's experience and past performance, I want to see that, well, I want to see it, but the committee will be evaluating. I'm not a voting member. The committee will be evaluating you on the depth, the breadth, and relevance of your experience, capabilities, and resources. Who are you proposing to place this insurance? Who are you going to shop this around to? How are you going to do this? We will need to know your firm's experience and past performance in these areas. You're also going to be evaluated on your references in this category. For the qualifications of your firm, who are you? What specialized experience do you have? What best positions your firm to place the PBC's coverages? Can you demonstrate an understanding of the services that we require as a public developer? We are a public developer. We're highly engaged in construction. We have a board. We need directors and officers liability insurance. And we're a very small employer. We have less than 30 employees at the PBC for our employee coverages. We need evidence that you can understand how to work and get the best price for the best coverage. And the qualifications of your firm detailed to explain why that is your firm. We also need evidence of your ability to do business and your brokerage licenses, depending on how many you have, license or licenses. We also want to know what technology you're using. Like, for example, are you currently utilizing AI? Are you able to set yourself apart in the technology field? Do you have access to specialized technology that shops around more insurance markets than your biggest competitor? Things like that. Also, talk about the factors that are going to become potential items. Obviously, we're at a very interesting time in this nation's history as a large public developer and a government commission, municipal corporation. We need your assistance in telling us what are some of the large challenges looking forward right now. The uncertainty in the market is no joke. We know that there are natural disasters. We know that those play roles, not just in the private market, but also in the government market. What are some of those that we need to be aware of looking forward whenever we're looking to place or renew our current policies, okay? We also want to see if there are any actual conflicts of interest, whether they're apparent or perceived. We can't have any conflicts of interest as a government agency. We know you know this, but we're putting it there as a friendly reminder. We also want to talk about the project approach, the insurance markets you have access to, and what kind of assurances you're going to be providing to us for quality. This is the biggest portion of your score. So we're going to evaluate you on your brokering process. We're going to look at your QA/QC plan to ensure that the coverages and the prices you're providing are actually the best out there. We're going to evaluate your process for evaluating and recommending insurers to us. What do? Are you just casting a wide net and simply hauling in and presenting us everybody's coverage options? No, we need to know that you went through, thoroughly vetted everyone, ensured that the coverages are matching what the PBC's needs are, and that we're getting the best price for that. We're also going to evaluate any sort of evidence of your relationship with key insurance markets. We'll do that based on what you submit, but we're also going to do it independently behind the scenes. And then we're going to have any sort of value add that you propose is going to be included in our evaluation. Tell us what sets you apart. What makes you the right group consultants to do this work on behalf of the Public Building Commission of Chicago? What is the value that you bring to the table? For your key personnel, resumes, and applicable licenses, this is fairly straightforward. You know, who's your management? who's your proposed personnel structure for the PBC's risk management program, talk about any sort of appropriate licensing and training of the key personnel. We want to know that they know what's hot right now. We want to know that they're up on the latest changes. Springfield, as you know, in July 1st, just changed a number of items in the insurance market for Illinois. We want to make sure that your team is well aware of those changes, especially as they affect government operations and requirements, and that you're able to meet those requirements and that you're shopping around those requirements if they have any sort of price impact or changing. Finally, we're going to evaluate your qualifications of the key staff, and that might include what kind of education they received, the training, the job performance, and their similar capacities and comparable projects that you submit as part of this evaluation. We also want to see an organization chart, and the people at the top of that organization chart need to be the people that are available 24/7 to the PBC. We have a large portfolio of work. We need to make sure that whenever the consulting services or questions that I have or that my small team might have arise, that we have someone we can go to as a go-to person to discuss those items with and get timely resolution to any sort of questions or concerns we might have. For our M&WBE participation, I'll turn it over to Jesse here in a minute, but we really want to highlight the fact that the PBC has incredible participation. The contract-specific goals for this are 25%, a minimum of 25% MBE and a minimum of 5% WBE. I'll let Jesse talk a little bit more about what that actually means here in a little bit, but this is 20% of your score. Last but not least, certainly not least, pricing. You'll see that it's only 15% of your score. However, it's still important. We are a government agency, we have limited resources, and we need to make sure that we're responsible stewards of the taxpayer dollar. As such, we will do an in-depth investigation and compare your pricing to the other pricing pieces and proposals that we receive. To complete evidence of your pricing, you'll use attachment I, which was the cost proposal sheet we created for this specific project. So how do you, once you take care of preparing all this information, how do you actually submit it? What are the steps? We need one complete copy of the RFP document, tabbed as required by the document, page numbered and labeled. You'll include all the information we requested, except the financial documents, which you will include separately, marked confidential. We don't share that information with anybody. So it's a single searchable PDF document. Obviously, your licensures, which are scanned copies of items, signature pages, which obviously are wet signatures, any sort of certificates that you may have, other information that you submit, for example, maybe an organization chart that may not be, that may be scanned. We understand those are not going to be searchable, but all the other documents, your cover letter, things like that, make sure that they're searchable so that we can search the document for the key pieces of information, keywords that we're looking for, okay? Your financial documents obviously don't need to be searchable. It's just that complete copy of the RFP document, your submission. As many pages as possible should be searchable. Once you have all of that together, you'll submit it to both of these emails, pbc-procurement@cityofchicago.org and miguel.fernandez@cityofchicago.org. Both of those emails. Again, you will submit an email. There will be two attachments. One will be the RFP. The other will be your financial documents labeled as confidential. The RFP must be a single searchable PDF document. We need everything in one big format, as searchable as possible. I understand that licenses, certificates, signature pages, maybe your org chart won't be searchable, but the rest should be. Separately, in the same email, you will also submit your financial documents marked as confidential. Those will not be shared with anybody. As noted here, there is a 25 megabyte file limit. If it exceeds that, it's no problem. Simply utilize Dropbox, WeTransfer, Google Drive, whatever, another secure method, and include that link in that same email. Very straightforward. Okay, I put this in here twice for a reason. I want to highlight the submission checklist. We spend a lot of time bettering ourselves. And we're happy to have feedback, by the way, too. Constructive criticism is always welcome at the PBC. Patty and I love it. We try to get better with every procurement. So we've done a really good job, we think, this time for the submission checklist. Miguel worked very hard to double check all of the information. I have a great small team with me. I'm very proud of them. But if you notice something that doesn't seem right, please let us know. But utilize this checklist in preparing your submission. It will help a lot. I'll turn it over to Jesse Rodriguez from our compliance department, who will briefly discuss the requirements or goals for this project.
Thank
Take it
you,
away,
James.
Jesse. No problem.
Thank you, James. So the overall MB3 participation for this project is 25 and 5. That's meaning 25% of the total contract dollars have to come from minority business enterprise, and 5% have to come from women business enterprise. We do accept certifications from the city of Chicago and Cook County only. As stated, not as stated, but I will read off the statement. So the quality of the respondent's statement of understanding and commitment to comply with the PBC special conditions found in attachment D as evidence in the executive summary. In addition, the PBC will evaluate the respondent's past performance in meeting and or exceeding the MB and WB goals on the PBC and non-PBC projects as indicated in attachment D, meaning that we will be reviewing or evaluating anything that you submit with any past participation that you had in any other proposals with MB and W participation. So again, the overall MBE and W participation for this is 25% MBE and 5% WBE. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Jesse. I also want to highlight in the compliance area that the respondents are encouraged to joint venture. We highly encourage joint venture opportunities at the PBC. It's one of the great ways a smaller company can have an opportunity to showcase their skills to a large government agency. If you're thinking about joint venturing, which again, we highly encourage, you need to complete the Schedule B, which is a joint venture affidavit. The affidavit requires the names of both joint ventures, a proposed profit loss sharing information divided up into your respective ownership shares, a proposed joint venture agreement once you're awarded the contract. You do not need to have it immediately. We just need this affidavit. But we need to know that you will enter into a joint venture agreement with the other party, and that party, or that we then see a copy of the joint venture agreement, and the certification letter. That we do need with the actual submission, which would be that they are a certified minority or women-owned business company. And as Jesse said, we accept Cook County and City of Chicago certifications only. Jesse, do you want to talk a little bit about the Schedule Ds and Schedule Cs and how we utilize those?
So the Schedule D, we will need a Schedule D with which will list all your MBs and WBEs that will be on your MB-WB plan. So we will need page 1 and 2 completely filled. Page 2 does need to be signed. As far as Schedule Cs, we will need a Schedule C from each minority or certified company that you will be including in your plan. Please fill out page 1. Most importantly, page 2 needs to be signed, and also the subcontract levels do need to be filled out.
Thank you, Jesse. And if right now you don't know who you may propose as a M or WBE contractor or subcontractor, or if you're going to joint venture, that's okay. At the point of award, we will, however, need to know. And remember, you're being evaluated by your proposed participation levels. It's 20% of your score. So make sure it's something you give a lot of thought to. If there are specific questions about the Schedule D or Schedule C, we have a FAQ and previous information available Make sure you review those. That information is contained in the RFP. As I stated before, the sole point of contact for this contract, for this professional service agreement, is the contract officer. That's Miguel Fernandez, and you can reach him at miguel.fernandez@cityofchicago.org. Again, he is the sole point of contact for this agreement. With that, I'm happy to turn it over to the Q&A. Happy to take any questions you may have at this point. I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay. I like it when there are no questions. It's also kind of scary when there are no questions.
Actually, I do have a question. Excuse me. It's Joe Orlando from Financial Renaissance. Has an RFP been done before at the PBC?
Yeah, it's done every. That's a good question, Joe. It's done every few years. Our contracts. The goal of this contract is to be. Miguel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that it's the anticipated is 3-year contract with the option for 3 one-year extensions, which would make it a full 6-year contract. The last RFP was let in 2018, but extended due to the pandemic.
Great, thank you.
Appreciate the question.
Another quick question. Who is the current broker?
For category, they're broken out into 2. For categories 1 and 3, it's Mesero, and for category 2, it's CS Insurance Strategies, a division of Marsh McLennan.
Great, thank you.
Valerie or Dan, any questions?
Not here, James. Thank you. I thought you were very thorough.
Thank you.
Yes, I have none as well. Thank you. This was very informative.
Okay. Well, I look forward to some amazing submissions. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I rather enjoy going through the insurance submissions. I don't know why, but a little near and dear, close to my heart situation. So, all right. I appreciate everyone's time and attention this morning. This will conclude the pre-submission conference for the Public Building Commission of Chicago's RFP for insurance brokerage services, categories 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much for attending, and everyone have a great week. Stay cool out there.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.